Gus Bradley back in Tampa Bay, where he got his first taste of the NFL coaching circuit here in 2006, and his counterpart Lovie Smith trying to get his first home win as Bucs coach. Today's game being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. The Kick next on CBS.
Presenting Subway Fresh Buzz. Subway, the official training restaurant of athletes everywhere.
Let's go, baby! Win on three! 1, 2, 3, win!
Drew Brees got the Saints rolling last Sunday night with a score to tight end Josh Hill. But in overtime, he made history, reaching the career 400 touchdown pass mark faster than any other quarterback with an 80-yard catch and run by C.J. Spiller, giving the Saints their first win of the year.
Back in Tampa Bay, we say hello to the third member of our team down on the field, Chris Fisher.
Thanks, Spiro. At the quarter pole mark of the season, Lovie Smith compares his team's situation to a 1-mile race in his favorite sport of track. And we follow behind. We have to pick up the pace and play with a sense of urgency, calling upon big-name players like Levante David and Mike Evans to pick up their game. As for the Jaguars, Gus Bradley told us, I don't get caught up in stats. I get caught up in how it feels. And right now, he feels his team's mindset is turning from let's get better to let's do this and win. Both coaches saying it's on the players now to perform.
All right, Chris, so many similarities between those two men and so many differences at the same time. Both defensive coaches who first met when Gus Bradley was an assistant in North Dakota State. Lovie came over to speak at a coaching clinic, and such mutual respect, Solomon, between those two.
So much in common, and I think they're a little bit different too because, you know, Gus Bradley gets after it a little bit.
Booming kick by the embattled place kicker Jason Myers as Jameis Winston will come onto the field. We mentioned the 5 turnovers that led to the 27 Carolina points in that loss here last week.
Oh, Jameis Winston, I love the fact that he has some accountability for all the turnovers. He knows that in order for his team to win, that has to stop it. He's got to begin to produce more big plays within the offense.
Has not fared well in his 2 home appearances till this point. In fact, in each of those games, Winston threw a pick 6 on his very first pass. 1st and 10 from the 20. Winston goes play action. Rolls out on the run and hits his man. It's the tight end Brandon Myers, the 7th-year man out of Iowa. They pick up 17 and a first down. Take a look at the starters. Kevin Campfield making the start. Logan Mankins, their 6-time Pro Bowl offensive lineman, hurting a groin earlier this week in practice. Huge loss for that offensive front. And Doug Martin, who enters the day 8th in the NFL in rushing at nearly 300 yards, appears to have refound his rookie form from 2012. 1st and 10 from just outside the 35. They'll give it to Martin, running right, as Martin able to cross the 40 and pick up a gain of 4. How about the defensive starters for Gus Bradley's unit? What a start for Jared Odrick, one of the offseason acquisitions for this club. He has paced them with 8 tackles, tied for most for them. Thurston Armbrister making the start. We mentioned Paul Posluszny is out, and Sergio Brown back today. Did not play last week with a calf injury. You saw Posluszny, huge loss for this defense on that sideline. And there is Armbrister, the undrafted rookie free agent out of Miami, making his first career start. 2nd and 6. Play action again from Winston, and hits his target over the middle. It's Vincent Jackson, the 3-time Pro Bowler. 2 passes for Winston. Solomon, 2 first downs.
Yeah, it's a 1-receiver route. It's Jackson going down the field. He did have Jaworski laying in the flat, but look, this one is just a real quick throw. He's going to get an easy read, Jameis Winston will, on this secondary. They play a single high coverage, which means they're either zoning on the outside or in man-to-man coverage. Should make for easy reads for the rookie quarterback.
1st and 10. Here is Martin, little cutback maneuver. Able to inch his way close to the 40. Vincent Jackson, with that reception, by the way, has now moved past Keyshawn Johnson for 5th place on the Bucs all-time receiving list. What a career he's had.
Well, remember, he came over as an unrestricted free agent from the San Diego Chargers. People wondered if he would be able to be worth what they paid to get him. I think he has. I think he's put up huge numbers here, even though they've had instability at the quarterback position.
Cameron Brate, the tight end, is the man in motion. 2nd and 7. This is Charles Sims. Bounces to the outside. And Sims runs for the first down as he stumbles his way along that sideline. 15 yards, and what an opening drive for the Bucs.
Well, they were able to seal the edge right there. Look how they were able to get Goster Chairless, the right tackle, out in front of Sims. It makes for an easy run. I thought he could have had even more yards had he stayed in bounds.
Sims with a touchdown catch in each of the last 2 weeks. As you saw, Greg Olsen on the other side of the field watches the other offense work early on. Little short pass on 1st and 10. Sims. Good versatile back out of the backfield, showing you what he could do with his legs, and a good pass catcher on that play.
I think Greg Olsen, the offense coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, setting up plays for Jameis Winston to come out. Easy throws that you've seen, quickly getting the ball out of his hands, whether it's to the receiver or to the backs coming out of the backfield.
2nd and 5. Winston will work from the shotgun. Bucs have not scored a touchdown, by the way, in the first quarter of a game this season. Sims, as they give this defense a couple of looks here. Two-headed monster between Martin and Sims. Telvin Smith and Jonathan Cyprian combined on the tackle. It'll be a 3rd and short. We'll see where they go here.
Yeah, I'm talking Dirk Cutter, the offense coordinator. He's the guy calling plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good balance so far between run and pass, helping Jameis Winston to get the ball down the field. Now that you're knocking on the door inside the red zone, this is where they could use that tight end, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Dirk Cutter trying to give his quarterback a play here to get the ball into the end zone.
Bobby Rainey split out at the top of your picture. Winston from the gun on 3rd and 3. Winston going to tuck it away, trying to get to the first down. Needed the 18-yard line. Telvin Smith able to run him out of bounds. We'll see where the officials spot the football here.
You know, it really is about vision, because you're going to have Vincent Jackson here, but you've got to be able to see this, even once you get out of the pocket if you're Jameis Winston. Now, I know he wants to be very careful with the ball, but right now, ball got to come out of his hands. I think he had an opportunity to complete that pass to Vincent Jackson over to the left side. You got to be able to find the open receiver even when you're scrambling.
Connor Barth, longtime Bucs kicker, signed back this week after the missed field goals by the rookie Kyle Brenza, whom the team released. So Barth summoned for a 35-yard attempt. And the old Buck back at Raymond James Stadium. And you think these fans know what an adventure the kicking has been? Early lead for Jameis Winston and the Bucs. Good-looking opening drive by Jameis Winston and Tampa Bay. They go 9 plays, 62 yards, and a 35-yard field goal from Connor Barth as he reintroduces himself to these Bucs fans.
Well, he gets off, I think, to a good start. Very confident, getting in rhythm. Thought he saw the field very well there, completing all 3 of his pass attempts on that drive.
We saw Corey Grant standing back about 7 yards deep in his own end zone. Good-looking kick from Barth. As we'll see Blake Bortles onto the field for the first time when we come back. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football. And by the all-new 2015 Acura TLX. It's that kind of thrill.
Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay, Florida. Blake Bortles, the 23-year-old second-year quarterback. Former first-round pick. You see his numbers, career high, just under 300 yards. How do they respond after that agonizing finish in the overtime defeat in Indianapolis? 1st and 10, T.J. Yeldon, the second-round rookie, buried in the backfield by that Tampa Bay defense. They dump him for a loss of 3. Starters up front, A.J. Cann making the start. Brandon Linder lost for the season to a shoulder injury, so a second straight start for the rookie Cann. Allen Hurns, career-high 116 yards receiving. He was targeted 15 times by Bortles last week. There's Julius Thomas, set to make his Jacksonville debut. Their prized offseason acquisition from Denver. Yeldon Little cutback showing the shiftiness as he crosses the 25, picks up 9 of those yards back, and they'll be faced with a 3rd and short. Jacquez Smith, 4 sacks through the first 4 weeks, tied for 2nd best in the NFL. What a start to his season. Linebackers, Levante David dropping that critical would-be interception on the goal line last week, and Mike Jenkins, the Pro Bowler in 2010, making the start for a 2nd straight week for Jonathan Banks. And there is Julius Thomas on the field as a Jaguar for the first time on 3rd and 4. Bortles pump fakes, set. Penalty marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Illegal use of hands. Hands to the face, offense, number 60. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Howard Jones able to make the sack, a loss of 6.
Oh, they're blitzing. That's what they're showing right there. They bluffed it, but they only bring 4. And as you can see right there, everyone's getting upfield. You can see the pocket collapsing. They're able to get to the quarterback. If you can get pressure with 4 men rushing the quarterback, you're going to have a good day on defense.
Brian Anger on a good-looking punt, and this one's going to take a Jacksonville bounce as Bobby Rainey helplessly looks on. 63-yard punt from Anger. Winston onto the field next. Your weekend starts here with an NFC South battle when Atlanta takes on Drew Brees and the Saints. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. The Saints trying to right their season. What a win they had on Sunday Night Football last week against the Cowboys, as Jameis Winston, if you've just joined us, leading his charge down the field. You see his numbers, the 4 interceptions and 1 lost fumble that led to those 27 points for the Panthers.
Ready! Blue ready! Look up!
1st and 10. This is Martin going backwards. Telvin Smith having to step up in the absence of Paul Posluszny, and a good start for him. 5th in the NFL in tackles, Solomon, through the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, we said at the top that both teams are very similar. You know, they come in each wanting to run the football, and even without Paul Posluszny, this Jacksonville Jaguars defense has been very stout against the run. 4th in the National Football League at stopping the run. Telvin Smith is one of their leading tacklers. They are very good, and so they're going to have to be good even without their middle linebacker today.
Winston from the gun. This is 2nd and 12. Pocket starts to collapse. Little sidearm delivery. Nice maneuver by Martin. Catch and run. 1st down play. 13 yards through the air, and a good start so far. What have you seen from Winston?
Well, good vision. Being able to find your check down receiver. You can see he's going to come out of the backfield right there as Doug Martin, but Armbruster replacing Paul Posluszny misses the tackle, allowing yards after the catch, something that really hurts your defense. If you know Gus Bradley, the one thing he teaches with this defense for the Jacksonville Jaguars is crisp, clean tackling.
Winston perfect to this point, 4 for 4 for 50 yards. 1st and 10, play action. Winston airs it out far side of the field. It's caught. That's Mike Evans, the 2nd-year wide receiver out of Texas A&M. They pick up 9. Everyone wondering about how Winston would bounce back. Good start so far.
Yeah, Winston could read. This was man-to-man coverage on the outside. He goes immediately to Mike Evans. We said that Evans got to be able to produce for his quarterback today. He must be able to win outside against one-on-one man-to-man coverage.
And now the officials giving Tampa that favorable spot. Picked up the 10 yards needed. It's a 1st and 10 from just out past the 37. Here is Martin sneaking inside Jaguars territory, getting downhill as they move the chains again. 14-yard burst from Martin.
And we told you they want to run the football to try to add balance, try to help their young quarterback, Jameis Winston. Doug Martin has to have a big day. I got to believe that they're going to try to test the middle linebacker, Thurston Armbruster, filling in for Paul Posluszny. See how he can handle things in space and how well he can defend the run.
Mike 37. Mike 37. Sunday. Let's go.
Winston gives to Martin on 1st and 10. So the turnovers from Winston, how would he bounce back? And people forget he's 21 years of age. We spent time with him on Friday, and he talked about his experience, Solomon, as a baseball player, and that's helped him psychologically come back from a bad performance. Said in baseball, you go 1 for 3, it's a good day.
Absolutely. And this is something Lovie Smith said that he liked about him from the first time he met him. So this is a guy that's got wonderful positive energy. It spreads throughout the rest of his football team. And that kind of optimism leads you to believe he can work his way through adversity.
This is Martin, has been the featured back so far, as expected. And pick up a couple. As you see, the third down coming up, and that clock continues to run. Winston, 5 completions, by the way, to 5 different receivers.
Well, you got to give credit to his offensive coordinator, Dirk Cutter, putting him, I think, in situations where he can really define, or I should say read the defense. It's easily defined in terms of where he wants to go with the football, and I think you've got to get the ball in the hand of your playmakers, and right now he's got a good feel for what the defense is doing.
3rd and 7. Winston trying to sling it over the middle, intended for Jackson, but it falls incomplete, so the drive stalls. Good coverage on the play by Dwayne Gratz, and Tampa Bay will punt.
Watch the footwork of Jameis Winston. See, he doesn't set his foot, doesn't set his feet, and I think he throws his ball very inaccurately. Now, he had the receiver open coming over the middle, and he just misses him. He doesn't set his feet and doesn't deliver the ball with great accuracy.
And that's something you've been talking about, the inconsistency with his footwork. And it rears its ugly head on that sequence. Jacob Chum, as this one will take a Jaguars bounce. 22-yard punt. And decent field position for Bortles next.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by AARP. Real possibilities.
What a scene it was here. Pre-game Special Operations Command para-commanders. A jump that included a SEAL, a Green Beret, and a Special Operations Aviator. Giving these fans their money's worth. You see the offensive numbers till this point. A very quick 3 and out for Blake Bortles and the Jaguars. They've got another chance here, down 3-0. Bortles from the gun on 1st and 10. Zips a pass over the middle, and it's caught. That's Julius Thomas, his first catch as a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Oh, they're just going to sit in the soft cover 2 zone, and you can see this one was going to Julius Thomas all the way. Blake Bortles read the coverage accurately, and that play was designed to get Julius Thomas going in the offense.
Thomas injuring a hand in the middle of their preseason, August the 14th, underwent surgery September the 1st. What an addition he is expected to be for Bortles in this offense. Quick strike. This is Allen Robinson with his first catch. Across the 35, they've got the first down, a pickup of 9. A life is measured in seconds in America's busiest ER. Don't miss a new episode of Code Black Wednesday after Criminal Minds, only CBS. So Bortles and company finally able to move the chains.
They got something going. They know they want to run the football. Enough balance so that they can get the one-on-one matchups on the outside. You can see Blake Bortles setting his protection and setting the blocking in the run game.
This is T.J. Yeldon. Entered the day #1 among all rookie running backs in yards. We spoke to Gerald McCoy, and he said that he watches this kid run, and he reminds him of a less experienced version of Le'Veon Bell, all his shiftiness.
Yeah, he's very shifty, great cutback runner, and you love the way that Blake Bortles is going to use him in the offense. He has the ability and the control within the offense to check to that run game, depend on what the defense is giving. If he's got fewer numbers in the box defending the run right now, the box is stacked, so look for him to maybe check to a pass.
And you see the high usage of Yeldon till this point for Jacksonville. 2nd and 8. Bortles going to take a shot. Boy, had Robinson. What an effort by the second-year receiver. It slips right through his fingertips. Coverage on the play by Mike Jenkins.
See what he's going to do. He reads. He knows he has what we call 8 defenders in the box, and then he has a single high safety, so he can take a shot out here down the field. That's going to be his read every single time. He knows he's got one-on-one on the outside. The receiver had a step on the defender, and they nearly had one over to Robinson.
Robinson has been their home run hitter, 22 yards per catch, tops in the NFL. Third and 8. Bortles has time over the middle, completes. It's Allen Hurns inside Tampa Bay territory, down to the 39 as they burn him for 24 yards.
Oh, we told you at the top that we're seeing improvement with Blake Bortles, the second-year quarterback. He's getting a feel for what this defense is giving him. If you give him protection, look at that seam throw right there to Hurns. And Hurns can create big plays. I love these two young, talented receivers for Jacksonville. Allen Robinson is the deep threat guy, and Hurns, he'll just kill you all over the middle of the field.
Yeldon, the lone setback behind Bortles on 1st and 10. Quick drop, quick strike. Robinson makes the catch, close to another Jacksonville first down. And what a tandem they've got with these two emerging wide receivers, each guy in their second season.
And both of them have a much better feel. We talked to Allen Hurns yesterday, and he talked about the ability to sight adjust to what the coverages are showing him. That's something that most young receivers struggle with, but right now they're doing a really good job of reading the coverage along with their quarterback, and they seem to be on the same page.
2nd and 3, Bucs coming on the blitz. Yeldon trying to dance his way through some very tight space inside the 30. I just like that Allen Hurns came into our meeting yesterday and introduced himself, said, "Hi, I'm Hurns." I guess, he's got to differentiate between the two Allens.
There's two Allens at wide receiver. They're very similar in stature, in terms of their style of play. I think he's found a way to distinguish himself from Allen Robinson. He says, hey, I'm going to use the last name. Go with the surname if you want that distinction.
Third career 100-yard game in Hurns' burgeoning career last week. Where do the Jaguars go here on 3rd and a critical 1? They'll keep it on the ground, trying to sneak their way. Multiple penalty markers come in, either sideline. Both sidelines, I should say. With 28 seconds left in the quarter.
Offside. Defense, number 77, line up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's Tony McDaniel, the 10-year vet out of Tennessee, one of their free agent acquisitions from Seattle. Tampa Bay, second most penalties in the NFL entering Week 5.
Hey, you can't give him anything. I mean, he was lined up in the neutral zone, so you're trying to get off the ball real quickly. Gus Bradley, this is where he knows his offense has to improve. As they approach the red zone, they struggle to score points. Even though they've had big offensive plays, they really have struggled in this area of the field.
Bucs trying to get over the line of scrimmage quickly. Yeldon trying to bounce to the outside. Sneaks inside the 25 as he tries to pick up where he left off his first career 100-yard game last week. First Jacksonville rookie running back to rush for 100 yards since Maurice Jones-Drew did it in December of 06. End of the first, 3-0. Tampa will return after these messages on CBS. Morning, the Buccaneers hosted the 3rd annual Treasure Chest 5K Run and Corporate Challenge. More than 4,000 participants took over the streets outside Raymond James Stadium in support of breast cancer research. You can join in the fight against breast cancer research as well. You can learn more about a crucial catch day on October the 13th and find out how you can help make a crucial catch. Visit NFL.com/pink. Spiro Ditas, Salman Wilcots, Chris Fisher. Rest of our CBS crew from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay. Temperatures in the mid-80s. Expected to get up to near 90. Ninth play of the drive for Jacksonville as we begin the second quarter. Bortles off of his back foot completes to Yeldon. Inside the 20. Yeldon bouncing off would-be tacklers. First down catch and run. Finally brought down by the All-Pro Levante David. 13 yards on the play.
What do we say about Tampa Bay? They've got to be able to tackle in space. Tackling and turnovers, that's their calling card. But when you miss tackles like this in space and allow T.J. Yeldon to create yards after contact, then you've got to be concerned if you're Lovie Smith. Your defense is struggling, and this Jacksonville offense, they're beginning to heat up.
See the Jaguars in red zone play this season at the bottom of the NFL. 1st and 10. Bortles from the gun. Has time, throw it end zone, it's caught! Allen Hurns for the Jacksonville touchdown!
Just a really good throw, really good read by the quarterback, Blake Bortles. He knows what he's doing. I can tell you right now, year 1 to year 2, it's night and day, because look right here. And he could have gone T.J. Yeldon, but he clearly sees that he's got a receiver open right in the seam route. And this is just really going for more than maybe what the defense is going to give him. He really had confidence in his arm to thread the needle for the touchdown.
7th touchdown pass of the season by Bortles, and 3rd touchdown reception for the second-year man, Allen Hurns. Point after from Jason Myers is good. And what an offensive drive orchestrated by Bortles. 12-yard touchdown strike to Hurns on CBS. Nice bounce-back drive for Jacksonville after they went 3 and out on their first possession. 3rd receiving touchdown of the season for Allen Hurns. And Blake Bortles, the second-year quarterback, goes 6 of 7 on the drive, Solomon, for 69 yards.
And he said it down inside the red zone. Needed to be more precise, quicker and faster with the ball. He let it rip on that touchdown toss.
Good-looking kick through the back of the end zone by Jason Myers. Tonight, what does President Obama have to say about Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton? Find out on 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS. So here comes Jameis Winston. Until this point, just over a quarter into this game, Solomon, both of these young quarterbacks have looked pretty good.
I think the real key for both quarterbacks, especially Jameis Winston, protecting the football, not forcing the ball into double coverage, taking what the defense is going to give him. I do believe he's got to be more sure with his fundamentals and his footwork to deliver the ball with accuracy.
Ready.
High formation set. Doug Martin takes the carry, crosses the 20. That's second. Gaspy still going. Martin spinning his way inside Jacksonville territory and finally dragged out of bounds by Telvin Smith. 39 yards from Martin.
Well, if you're going to blitz the run, you better be sure, because here's your blitzer right there. And look, that's Jonathan Cyprien. He's got to be able to make this tackle. He's unblocked. He overruns it, then there's the cutback. That means you're -1 defender at the second level, and then they missed the tackle. In fact, that's Cyprien missing the tackle there at 37. And you just got to do a better job. If you're going to blitz the run, you've got to be able to entrap the running back in the backfield. And how about Doug Martin making a miss to rip off a big one?
Jackson in motion on 1st and 10. Winston going to air it out deep down the far side. Had his man, and then it's incomplete. Excellent recovery as Evans the intended target. And now some discussion on the back end. Good coverage by House, the 5th-year corner out of New Mexico State.
Yeah, House is able to recover, because I thought Mike Evans had a step on him. You know, if as a young quarterback, if you're Jameis Winston, you're better off overthrowing than underthrowing. If you overthrow him, then maybe Evans can run under that one. You underthrow it, it allows the defensive back to recover and make a play on the ball.
Ready. Blue whitey. Line up.
2nd and 10. This is Martin. Martin, a lot of real estate inside the 25, close to the 20. Cyprien brings him down 20 yards on the run as we go to New York in an update.
Cousins finds an opening. 12 plays, 67 yards. He's going to find Derek Carrier right in the middle of the end zone. The Redskins take a 7-0 lead on the Falcons in Atlanta, second quarter. Spiro, Solomon, and Chris.
Redskins so up and down with their quarterback situation as Cousins tries to get them what would be an enormous win. 1st and 10. A lot of questions, Solomon, about Doug Martin heading into the season. Of course, that fabulous rookie campaign, a Pro Bowler, over 1,400 yards on the ground as a rookie in 2012. Healthy for the first time really since, and boy, has he looked good.
He looked really good. You know, he can be a tough guy to tackle as well. Already off to a good start. And on this drive, he's got a run of 22 yards, one of 39 yards, helping Dirk Cutter's offense get going and doing a really good job, I think, of helping the young quarterback, Jameis Winston, to operate the offense.
2nd and 8. Play action. Winston sacked. Football comes loose. Still on the playing field, and it is recovered by Jacksonville. It's Telvin Smith. And those giveaway issues from Jameis Winston rearing their ugly head yet again.
Wow, and you can see pressure's going to come in from the backside. Now his arm's going to get going forward. However, the ball goes
Rule in the
backwards.
field is that we have a backwards pass
That's right.
recovered by the defense and advance.
And Jameis Winston was sort of saying, hey, my arm was moving forward. His arm was moving. But watch, this is a lateral. He throws the ball, but he throws it backwards. So it's another rookie mistake. Doesn't protect the football in that situation. You just got to eat it. He tries to get rid of it, but the ball ends up going behind him. Roy Miller brings him down, and you can see arm is moving forward. However, he throws the ball backwards, which constitutes a lateral. The ball is live.
And that's a live football.
Yeah, but Jacksonville recovers.
Roy Miller applying the heavy pressure, the one-time Tampa Bay Buck. Back at Raymond James Stadium, and here's
foul
Boger.
for illegal contact on the play. The contact occurred when the quarterback was outside of the pocket. The previous play is under review.
That's something we're talking to defensive backs about every single week, right?
Well, the last backwards pass under review, call on the field is a turnover, but was the knee of Winston down? Let's bring in Mike Carey. Mike, take us through. What are you seeing on this play?
Well, I think the salient point is that the quarterback's shin, his left shin is down while he still has complete control. Let's talk a little bit about the pass situation. So normally it's a forward pass as soon as the forward motion comes with complete control. However, that motion started after the defensive contact, which puts all the responsibility on the quarterback to get it forward. It went backwards. It would have been a backwards pass, although we have down by contact saves the day for them.
All right, Mike, our officiating expert from New York.
Good point by Mike. Taking a look at another element. Remember, when they go under the hood, everything is open. Of course, that part of it is open to review. I think it looks like, I agree with Mike, that the shin portion of Jameis Winston's leg was down while the ball was still in his hand.
Solomon, I'll say this. Obviously, the goal here is to get it right, but the length of some of these delays with the reviews just seem to be getting longer and longer.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback was down by contact at the 28.5 yard line. It'll be 3rd down at that spot.
All right, so the call from Jerome Boger, and a huge sigh of relief on that Tampa Bay sideline.
If you're Jameis Winston, you've got to feel a little bit lucky, okay? Because you were trying to throw that ball away, you threw it back. It was a bad decision by the young quarterback, we said, coming in. That's what has gotten him into trouble at times, and nearly almost another turnover. So he's got to be able to gather himself here on 3rd and 18. You're in field goal position, and yeah, you want to advance the ball here. You want to pick up a 1st down or get a touchdown, but do not put the ball in harm's way, and you can't take another sack.
So officially, it's a 10-yard loss on the sack by Roy Miller. So 3rd and 18 as Winston works from the gun, and another penalty marker whistles the play dead. Game will resume at some point, we promise.
Snap infraction. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's Joe Hawley, their 60-year center, making his 3rd straight start with Evan Smith still on the shelf.
Yeah, this offensive line's got a mixed bag for Lovie Smith. He said it's not ideal when you have a rookie quarterback playing behind so many moving parts on that offensive line. You can see it cost them on that play. Now they're facing 3rd and forever, 3rd and 23.
At this point, just trying to get into field goal range. This is Sims cutting towards the left, close to the 25-yard line. And I don't think there's been enough talk, Solomon, here with all the focus on Jameis Winston about just how poor, let's face it, this offensive line has been for the Bucs.
You know, they've struggled. There's no doubt about it. They have to do a much better job if this quarterback, if they're going to keep him upright and allow him to progress and evolve over the course of the season. But you've got Logan Mankins, who's out today. They've got other injuries up front on the offensive line, so they don't quite have the stability you're looking for.
Here's Connor Barth, hit earlier from 35 yards out. On to attempt from 45, and this one has the distance, and it is perfect. Well, Connor Barth had to feel some sense of vindication this week. Got his number called. Perfect 2 for 2 in a one-point game.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football. FedEx, solutions that matter. And by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile, only on Verizon.
Connor Barth, 2 for 2, as he just hits from 45 yards out. And what a turning point early on in this game. The would-be turnover by Jameis Winston overturned, appeared to be the correct call, and they are able to cut the deficit to 1.
And boy, they got a kicker who's responded. You know, you got to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. The veteran kicker, Connor Barth, returns to Tampa, and they able to give, I think, this offense some stability. They can't punch it in. He's got to be able to knock it through to put points on the board.
The rookie kicker whom they released this week had missed 7 kicks, 5 field goals, 2 extra points. Hard to win games in the NFL with those kinds of struggles. And a good start so far for Connor Barth. Early stages, second quarter. Spiro Ditas, Almond Wilcox, Chris Fisher. Rest of our CBS crew from Raymond James Stadium. Corey Grant watches that one sail through the back of the end zone as they will have it from the 20. Week 5 continues later today on CBS. And for those of you on Fox, then later tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC. And tomorrow, Steelers-Chargers in an AFC battle on Monday Night Football over on ESPN. Blake Bortles 3 and out on their opening possession, marched him down the field on their next drive, and he's been nearly perfect.
Hard to believe. Blake Bortles told us yesterday he really never wanted to play quarterback. Thought the position was too soft, and here he is excelling in his second year.
Some movement pre-snap. Didn't get too many penalty markers in the first quarter, but they're starting to pile up.
All-star offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Jeremy Parnell, the 60-year tackle out of Mississippi. Bortles grew up in Oviedo, Florida, about a 90-mile drive from where we are here. A baseball star, played catcher. And as Sally said, just thought the quarterbacks were soft, and here he is as a starting quarterback at the age of 23 in the NFL. First and 15. This is Yeldon. Cuts back across the 20 and brought down at the 23 by Clinton McDonald. A pickup of 8.
You know, Bortles, he's doing a really good job of getting the ball to T.J. Yeldon. He's reading the numbers in the box, and if he gets 6 or 7 defenders, he's going to check to the run game and put the ball in the belly of T.J. Yeldon. So, you know, Bortles really is controlling the entire offense. And I remember him saying, hey, I didn't want to wear number 12. I told the coaches I'm not sliding. He's a former linebacker, former running back. He plays quarterback position with a different mentality.
Second and 7, Bortles rolling out, and his pass sails away from him. Incomplete. Pressure coming on the play from William Golston, who's starting to play well for this Bucs defense.
Yeah, watch him get out of the pocket. Holds it to the last minute. He knows he's going to get hit. And that's what we're talking about. Here's a young quarterback. He's got great mobility at Blake Bortles, but he's tough. Here's a guy that, remember, they gave up 71 sacks 1 year ago. He took 55 of them, but he never came out of the game. He refused to tap out.
Play clock down to 2. Bortles from the gun. 3rd and 7. Buried. Howard Jones with his second sack.
They do a really good job of just collapsing the pocket. Take a look. They're coming from every single angle, including right up the gut. They're able to just look, and you can see the stunt from Jones. He loops around. That's what gives this offensive line some trouble. Remember, they're missing their best offensive lineman and Brandon Linder, A.J. McCann up front, Steven Wisniewski, Zane Beadles. Really good interior offensive line, but still giving up the sack on board.
Good looking punt. And fielded inside the 30. Good looking run back from Rainey. Rainey! Plenty of open grass in front of him and finally dragged out of bounds inside the 20 by Demetrius McCray. 58 yards on the return from Rainey.
Now, this is exactly what Lovie Smith wanted and needed. And watch him, he'll take the ball and he'll just hit it. You can see a wall setting up right here. And that's where he's going to break it. It's just really good read and his ability to attack, get going downhill and find that soft spot. But you're talking about helping a young rookie quarterback like Jameis Winston. Big plays on special teams and on defense to put Winston on a short field. Bobby Rainey playing his part.
Rainey, the diminutive fourth-year man, second full season as a Buck. And he has had some moments as a return man for this franchise. Short field for Winston and company, first and 10 from inside the 20. Here's Martin finding the edge. Crosses the 15, brought down right at the 12-yard line by Telvin Smith. And this offense has it rolling right now behind Winston.
Yeah, and this is where they got to be able to convert the long return from Bobby Rainey. Not just settle for the Connor Barth field goal. You've got to be able to get the touchdown here and take the points because your defense is playing good. But if you're Jameis Winston, got to be able to punch it in. Reed Fragel is now in. He comes in as an extra lineman on the right side. They'll run it behind him.
Fragel called up from their practice squad earlier this week. Wearing number 79, as you see Solomon point him out. 2nd and 5. Rainey using some of that shiftiness. Make it Martin, I beg your pardon, getting himself to the 10. And that'll set up a critical third down here. This is where Winston has to make some good decisions.
Yeah, and see Fragel, now Fragel's going to come out. Every time I've seen him come in the game, they've run the ball. They run it behind him. When he comes out, now they're going to throw it. Remember, Austin Seferian-Jenkins is out. He's a 6'5" tight end. Luke Stocker, 6'6". He's a tight end. He's not in the game. He's inactive, so they have to use Fragel as that extra blocker at the line of scrimmage. When he comes out, they get in this kind of formation, they tend to want to throw the football.
Winston under center on 3rd and 3, but a short pass is caught. Martin inside the 5 and into the end zone. And a brilliant first half continues for Doug Martin.
Oh, you just love it. And he's sitting down. They're able to get blockers to level 2. He does the rest, breaks tackles, drags defenders into the end zone. Tough guy to tackle. We already said it right there, but look at him. Even the small running backs have a way of getting bigger in and around the goal line to power it in. They get the touchdown, much needed for this Bucs offense.
Martin at just under 100 yards rushing, that time on a 10-yard catch to get himself into the end zone. First receiving touchdown of the year from Martin. Point after from Barth is good. It was Bobby Rainey, that electrifying return of 58 yards that put him in business. And then Winston to Martin for 6. Up and watch the world for the first time ever. The NFL streaming a live game on Yahoo. Bills Jaguars from London Sunday morning, October the 25th, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. You can learn more at yahoo.com/NFL stream. Talked about what a great start to the season it's been for Doug Martin. First receiving touchdown of the year. Good time for Jameis Winston. His 7th touchdown pass of his brief NFL career. Bortles back onto the field when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Voya Financial, changing the way you think of retirement. And by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Pirate ship can mean only one thing. We are in Tampa Bay, Raymond James Stadium. A battle between the quarterbacks taken first in each of the last 2 drafts. There's Greg Olsen, who has been calling plays for nearly a decade in the NFL, replacing Jed Fish, who was released by Gus Bradley after their offense struggled mightily last season. 1st and 10. This is Bernard Pierce on his first carry of the day. Gets close to the 25-yard line. You know, we spent time again, as we mentioned yesterday, with Blake Bortles. We asked him what the difference is between year 1 and year 2, and one of the first things he mentioned was Greg Olsen and Solomon, how he's helped him in his mental preparation week to week.
He said it's the best system I've ever seen. Now, he did play in college and obviously only a 2nd year in the NFL, but Olsen is kind of giving him the tools to go out and be successful. It's all about preparation, being able to get your key reads on the defense and understanding what you need to do offensively.
2nd and 6. As that one taken again by Pierce. Minimal gain, and they'll be faced with a 3rd down. Olsen has kind of bounced around the NFL, 8+ years as a play caller. Actually spent some time here in Tampa Bay on the same staff as Gus Bradley in 2008.
He's always worked with very young quarterbacks. Recently, Derek Carr in Oakland 1 year ago. So being able to put those tools in the toolbox for a young quarterback is essential in terms of their overall growth and development.
What does Olsen dial up here on a critical 3rd and 4?
A hard count to draw him off sides.
Our referee today is Jerome Boger.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 56. 5-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
That's Jacquez Smith. Another brutal penalty absorbed by this Bucs defense.
And Vincent Jackson, you know, he's a veteran on this team, and we spoke with him about where this team is under Lovie Smith. He says, you know, we got to, you know, stop playing against ourselves. He said we have 2 opponents on Sunday, playing against the other team and trying to defeat ourselves with senseless penalties like what you just saw.
Offset I formation featuring Toby Gerhart onto the field as the featured back for the first time. 1st and 10. That pass from Bortles is intercepted. Bradley McDougald on the pick.
Great coverage, great footwork. You know Tampa's defense is playing well when they're doing this, creating turnovers for Lovie Smith. We're back at Raymond James Stadium, and Blake Bortles, I think he just makes the wrong decision of where to go with the ball. This is going to be Mercedes Lewis, but then watch the receiver here at the top. And that's going to be Allen Robinson coming over the middle of the field. Now let's go ahead and stop it right there. See, and if you're Bortles, he's wide open. You try to throw it out here, and then you throw it late, and then it's intercepted by Bradley McDougald. You've got to throw that ball to the open receiver. It's really about reading the defense and understanding where to go with the ball, something that Bortles has been very good at. He's only thrown 1 interception in his last 3 games, and that was a costly mistake there. Poor decision, poor read by Bortles.
Only the 2nd career interception by Bradley McDougald. And what a desperate play that this defense needed to get the football back to Jameis Winston. He took good field position so far in this first half, once again starting inside Jacksonville territory. Keep it on the ground on 1st down. This is Sims, the 2nd-year runner out of West Virginia. Picks up 4 and a good run on 1st down.
We talk about complementary football. The Buccaneers need to do that when you're playing with a rookie quarterback and Jameis Winston. What does that mean? It means you got to hit in all areas. The running game, already over 100 yards rushing in the first half for the Bucs. Special teams, we saw the big punt return by Bobby Rainey of 58 yards to set the offense on a very short field. And now the defense creating turnovers, doing their part to help Jameis Winston put points on the board. Now he's got to be able to capitalize with this opportunity.
That's Dan Skuda, one of their starting outside linebackers, and I told you they're already down with Paul Posluszny out today nursing that high ankle sprain. He was out here in pregame warm-ups trying to test the ankle, but determined they were not going to let him play. And now Scooter, who they can ill afford to lose. Scooter coming over in free agency from San Francisco in the offseason. And has been a starter for them since day one back in the preseason. Thurston Armbruster now will move over and man that outside linebacker spot. 2nd and 6 from inside the 40. Play action from Winston. All day to throw. Fires far side. Finds Myers, the tight end. First down pass. Brought down at the 20. A pickup of 18.
You might ask yourself, why don't they do this more often with Jameis Winston? You're going to see the tight end just come right here, but watch the protection more than anything. Nice clean pocket for Jameis Winston. Comes off play action, and there you see receivers open right there. He's able to see it cleanly, had great protection, and then the accuracy there with great fundamentals on the throw.
Dan Scooter back onto the field. Good sign for Jacksonville, 1st and 10. Here's Sims. Cuts back, and he's buried in the backfield. Nice second effort as he reaches back for the 20. That'll get him back to the line of scrimmage. Tackled by Gratz. We talked about the shoddy protection for Smith. If they can keep him upright, give him that kind of time, totally different story.
There's no doubt about it. And, Jameis Winston understands that if he gets time, then he's got to be able to do his part now that they're knocking on the door on the red zone. This is where you think matchups. More than anything, look to get it to one of your talented receivers one-on-one coverage.
Winston from the gun, 2nd and 10, throws over the middle, it's caught. Evans inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal, Tampa Bay, 17 yards to the second-year stud, Mike Evans.
Yeah, they just hit it right in the seam against that single high safety look. Cyprian's right in the middle. These are the throws that I think he makes very well. In-breaking routes for the outside receivers. That's where Winston, I think, is very good. He brought with him this good footwork and fundamentals there and was able to deliver that ball with accuracy.
Evans, that fantastic rookie season. Slow start for him this year with a hamstring that caused him to miss the opener in week 1. 1st and goal, they keep it on the ground. Martin inches closer to the goal line as this Tampa Bay offense, and that critical turning point, appeared as though Winston had a turnover earlier. Call was overturned, and since that point, Solomon, they've been charging down the field.
Yeah, I think Lovie Smith has done a really good job. They understand they need to get more at the line of scrimmage, more weight. Reed Fragel, that extra tackle, coming in as a tight end. He's in the game now. He was on that last play. And at some point, if you're Jacksonville, you got to key it because they're running the ball on every single opportunity when he's in the game. And right now, knocking for more points inside the red zone.
Bray in motion. This is 2nd and goal. Handoff. Taken. It's Martin into the end zone. He caught a touchdown earlier, and this time runs it in as they capitalize on the Bortles pick.
Didn't I just say to Jacksonville, they're running right behind 79, Reed Fragel, right there. Look at him, driving it. And that's where that ball is going to hit, right inside the end zone. So really good game planning right now by Dirk Cutter, Lovie Smith. They understand they needed to get more weight up front on that offensive line. Fragel helping out, Fausto Chairless to create a seam for Doug Martin.
So this Tampa Bay offensive line so maligned, and today playing without its best player, their Pro Bowl and Logan Mankins out with a groin injury. What a performance they've had, creating space for Doug Martin. Bart with the point after. It was the interception by McDougald, and then Doug Martin banging it into the end zone for Tampa Bay. Asked Lovie Smith on Friday how they can help their rookie quarterback Jameis Winston. First thing he said was takeaways. Bradley McDougald, 2nd career interception, short field, and they are able to take advantage with the Martin run.
In both cases where they put Jameis Winston on a short field, he was able to convert it into touchdowns. The long punt return by Bobby Rainey, and then the interception by McDougald put him on a short field. Right now, the offense is rolling because they're playing complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams.
20-7 Tampa Bay. As they will play it, this is Corey Grant from about 5 yards deep in his own end zone. Crosses the 20 and tripped up at the 22. Well, on Tuesday, the Buccaneers rookies, cheerleaders, and Captain Fear visited the Metropolitan Ministries Fall Festival here in Tampa. Kids were treated to face painting, games, arts, and crafts. And Jameis Winston even led the group in a few dance moves, including Solomon's favorite, the whip and the nay-nay.
Of course, we could see you do that every Friday night, right? After our team meals.
I can see you do the nay-nay, Solomon. Versatile as you are. As Bortles, how does he react now after that interception? His 4th of the season on that last drive with a short pass caught by T.J. Yeldon. Good pickup for them on 1st down. They needed to get to the 32, as that should take us to the 2-minute warning. 2 young quarterbacks, 2 teams desperate to try to get a win. As we reach the 2-minute warning, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, the Buccaneers have had all kinds of issues in the first half of games. They have flipped the script so far this afternoon. A plus 13, up 20-7 with 2 minutes to play before halftime. Jacksonville, 11 straight road defeats. Tampa Bay, an 11-game home losing streak. 2nd and 2. Bortles going to run out of the pocket. Going on the run, completes over the middle. That's Brian Walters with only his 7th reception of the season, 19 yards and a 1st down.
I think we said it at the top that they were going to have to get Blake Bortles on the move. That's when you can buy time, extend plays. In this situation, final 2 minutes, you're going to get a lot of zone coverage from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. He's got to be able to find some seams.
Bortles sacked again. Just when they were moving in the right direction, they dump him for a loss of 3. Quan Alexander and Alteron Werner combined on a sack. Tampa Bay using a mixture of good special teams and defense to build this lead.
Yeah, we call it complimentary football. 58-yard return by Rainey sets him in great field position. Flip it over to Doug Martin. He does the rest. Find the end zone. Turn the big play for special teams into point. And then how about Bradley McDougal? Getting the turnover Lovie Smith has been asking for from his defense. Another great field position opportunity. Doug Martin. It's pay dirt. Runs in for a touchdown. They've take both of those opportunities when they've been on the short field and turned it into touchdowns.
So Martin with the 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. As Bortles and company trying to respond, 2nd and 16. Bortles steps up in the pocket, going to tuck it away and run it. Inside Tampa Bay territory, crosses the 40, 1st down burst. And that is an area where Bortles is underrated, beating you with his legs. 21 yards on the run.
His mobility is an asset. Now he's got this defense back on their heels.
Jaguars with 2 timeouts left. Bortles on 1st and 10. Fires over the middle. It's caught. That's Walters for his 2nd catch of the drive. Clock continues to run under a minute, 23 yards, and another 1st down.
This is how you manage the final 2 minutes of a half, and this is where I think quarterbacks earn their medal. Situational football, and he is dealing at this moment.
Bortles, pass incomplete, intended for T.J. Yeldon.
And what he's doing, he's reading the defense. Look, man-to-man coverage. Once he clears that first wave, look, it's just wide open field because the defenders are running with their receivers in coverage. And then he's reading the defense. He lets Julius Thomas clears it, and then he's able to hit Walters as the 2nd receiver comes through that window. So right now, I think he's doing a really good job of reading the defense and taking what they're giving him. Bunch formation, look for an out-breaking route toward the sideline.
Again, Jaguars with 2 timeouts. Bortles fakes the handoff, fires, end zone, caught! Allen Robinson wide open for the touchdown.
This is exactly what you want to do. I was thinking an out-breaking route. Anytime you're lined up tight, you really think that they're going to run towards the boundary. You're going to see them right here, but watch. Instead of coming out here, they split the defense where they see the double high safety. They find it wide open over the middle of the field. This is Allen Robinson. Look at him sit right there. Fake like he was going out, but still went over the middle of the field. They just took what they wanted from the Bucs defense in those final 2 minutes.
So both of their stud second-year wide receivers with a touchdown catch in his first half. 13 yards on a strike. Bortles to Allen Robinson as Jason Myers kicks in the point after.
Well, this is just a great play. Bortles reads it. Look, he's confident in his arm. He's confident in his reads in terms of what he's seeing from the defense. And nice move right there by Allen Robinson. He was able to get the safety, Major Wright, to bite on that outside fake and took what he wanted over the middle.
We have seen some very impressive moments from both of these young quarterbacks. Bortles coming back from the interception as he marches him down the field. 7 plays, 78 yards in a minute 50. 5th career receiving touchdown for Robinson and his 3rd this season.
How about Bortles after throwing that interception to Bradley McDougal to come back and lead his team down the field? Incredible.
Coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report will send you to the guys in New York, JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cower. They'll take you around the NFL, plus get you a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. All coming up next on the Verizon Halftime Report. Buccaneers with all 3 timeouts left. We'll see how they handle it. And if they can get Jameis Winston some decent field position, this one will go out of bounds. And boy, Salma, just when Jason Myers was starting to pick up some momentum, that is just something that cannot happen, especially at this stage of the half.
No, because you give them the ball at the 40-yard line, and just when the team maybe think about taking a knee and going in at halftime, you give them great field position at the 40 with 36 seconds left. You can bet Jameis Winston's going to try to take a shot over the middle of the field. They've got 3 timeouts. Might as well use this field position to your advantage. Try to steal some points before you go in at the half.
Salmon, are you looking for big chunks here, which is 36 seconds?
Absolutely. As long as the protection holds up, you try to drive the ball down the field, see if you can get something going.
6-point lead for the Buccaneers with all 3 timeouts in their back pocket. Quick strike is caught. This is Dante Dye, side to their active roster this week, and now penalty marker.
Timeout, Tampa Bay.
Is thrown.
First.
Buccaneers burning a timeout, but there's a flag on the Jacksonville sideline. It was a 13-yard play on the catch from Dye.
I like the bubble screen plays to try to jumpstart your offense, see if you can get something going.
Ineligible player downfield. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty. Still first down. Tampa Bay is not charged a timeout.
Sherless, the culprit, whistled for the penalty. And one of the reasons why Lovie Smith's Buccaneers are just 1-3, the ill-timed penalties. So that'll take the 13-yard first down pass off the board. They'll line up just inside the 35 with 29 seconds left before halftime. Winston 8 of 10 for 104 yards and a touchdown. Draw play here. This is Charles Sims. So after the penalty, Salmon, Lovie Smith will just kind of wave the white flag and bring his troops off the field.
Yeah, I think you're going to take all those timeouts in with you. And I think Lovie, look, even the crowd is letting him know, hey, how come we're not trying to get something going? And maybe he conceded after the penalty to just go in and try to get everyone on the same page. But I would have liked to see him use those final, 30 seconds. Try to get the ball down the field and get Connor Barth into field goal position.
Lovie Smith trying to get his first home win here as Buccaneers head coach as we go downstairs to Chris Fisher.
Thanks, Spiro. Gus, Doug Martin has over 100 yards. Doug Martin has over 100 yards of total offense, 2 touchdowns. What do you need to do to slow him down?
Well, we got to slow down the run. That's what we're built to do. Defend the run, and we're not doing a very good job of that right now.
Right now, you guys only have 45 yards rushing. What do you need to do to get T.J. Yeldon going in your rushing attack?
Well, again, I think we got to, they're forcing us to be a little bit one-dimensional. But when we get the chances, we got to make the yards down. When we're breaking tackles, we just got to do a better job sustaining our blocks.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
End of the first half in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers leading Jacksonville. The Verizon Halftime Report is next. You're watching the NFL on CBS. In Tampa Bay, where we are just about ready for the start of the second half, the Buccaneers trying to end this 11-game home losing streak up over the Jaguars by 6. Time now to take a look at who you're loving, presented by McDonald's. The Bradley McDougald pick, defense to offense, as their offensive unit marches down the field and they take a 6-point lead. Spiro Ditas, Solomon Wilcots. How you doing, Solomon?
I'm doing good.
Someone celebrated a birthday this week, right, brother? You thought we forgot, didn't you?
Yeah, still getting younger.
You know, I was going to give you a
Smarter
kiss
every day.
on TV. I didn't want to embarrass you in front of the home folks, so we got you a cake.
Wow.
Look at this.
Look at that. Isn't that something? Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday. No, I didn't want to give the age. I know you're a little sensitive about your age.
I'm good with it. It beats the alternative, right?
Yes, yes. Well, you know, it's your birthday, so it got us to thinking. Solomon, through the years, and we actually hijacked your Instagram account and found a nifty little photograph of Solomon as a youth, as you see Blake Bortles getting ready to come onto the field. There's Solomon.
Well, those are my 3 older brothers. Look, I'm the little guy at the end. Now you know why I end up playing football, because those 3 guys toughened me up my entire life to be able to do this job. I took a pounding from those other 3.
Toughened you up, without a doubt. Happy birthday, brother. Happy belated birthday from the entire crew. As Jacksonville takes possession, and a nifty run back by Corey Grant coming up the sideline as he crosses the 30 and runs it back for 40 yards. We go downstairs to Chris Fisher.
Thanks, Spiro. Lovie Smith said coming out at the half, they need to continue to move the ball effectively. Instead of putting up field goals, they need touchdowns when they get the opportunity. In a tight game like this, turnovers are a must. They had 1 in the first half. He expects more in the second half.
All right, Chris, thanks. Hard to believe it has been so long. Week 14 of 2013. The last time Tampa Bay won a home game in this stadium. Blake Bortles and company, good field position to start, just outside their own 35. Bortles, quick drop back, over the middle, completes. That's Allen Robinson who had the touchdown catch towards the end of that first half. They pick up 7. Solomon, how about adjustments for the second half?
I'm going to put the hat on both defenses. If you're Jacksonville, you've got to be able to stop Tampa from running the football. You gave up 124 rush yards in the first half, and then for the Bucs, I think their ability to pressure and contain Blake Bortles. Whenever Bortles have gotten out of the pocket, he's been able to extend plays, help receivers to uncover, and then they're making enough plays to put points on the board.
Their undrafted rookie gets his first look on an offensive snap. That's Corey Grant, who just had that pretty run back, a 40-yard return on the opening kick. Danny Lansana on the tackle, but not before he picks up 11 and a first down.
How about Grant? Looks very good. Quickness. The undrafted rookie out of Auburn. Do a nice little flip play to him to get him to the edge of the defense. That speed is needed for this young offense. They've got so many young, talented players for this Jacksonville team.
As T.J. Yeldon struggled in the first half. Just 6 carries and 18 yards until this point. Play action on 1st and 10. They protect for Bortles. Over the middle, it's caught. Hearns. Penalty marker comes in the Tampa Bay secondary. If it stands, it's a 24-yard pass play. Our referee today, if you've just joined us, is Jerome Boger.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 against each team. Illegal formation, offense, number 85, the tight end was covered up. Pass interference, defense, number 24. Those fouls are all set, replay, first down.
Nick Jacobs and then Mike Jenkins called for the penalty, so they offset. And the bad news for Jacksonville, the down replayed, and that one coming back.
Well, it's a good-looking play. You're going to lift the coverage here, and then you'll see this is Hearns coming across the formation. Now you're going to see Robinson at the top, and that's Jenkins working against him. See right there, that's where the hold takes place.
First and 10 from the shotgun. Bortles completes with a screen pass to Yeldon. And the rookie making guys miss. 36th overall selection in the draft. Early second round, tackled by Clinton McDonald. As we take a look at the first half possessions for Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville struggled, I think, early on. Did have a touchdown on that second possession, but you can see the punts, then the interceptions. But I like the fact that Bortles and Gus Bradley's young football team, whenever they deal with some adversity, they bounce back quickly, able to get themselves back into the game.
Yeldon on 2nd and 7. Yeldon finds daylight. First down run and more. Forced out of bounds by Mike Jenkins. 10-yard burst. And the best looking run that we've seen from Yeldon till this point.
You know, Yeldon does a really good job of just reading what we call the second level of the defense. And see, watch, that's going to be Levante David. But look, he sees him as he's coming downhill. He's able to bounce it around and still turn it into a positive gain. Levante David was unblocked on the play, but Yeldon, good vision, good field awareness, still able to elude the unblocked defender.
Yeldon gets a blow. Toby Gerhardt gets a rare opportunity. Fights his way close to the 30. As we'll get an update now. We'll go downstairs, check in with Chris Fisher. Chris?
Thanks, Spiro. Chris Conti, the safety for the Buccaneers, has walked toward the locker room. He has left the game with an ankle injury. He is considered out.
Huge loss for Tampa Bay. Conti brought over from Chicago, where he began his career there under Lovie Smith. And a huge loss for this defense.
Green 80.
DJ Swearinger now in. Chris Conti, he drops in the box.
Play action from Bortles on 2nd and 8. That pass deflected. And a dangerous sequence for Jacksonville. It was Quan Alexander who got his hand on the football.
Well, he saves him because Bortles has his tight end, Julius Thomas, going up against DJ Swearinger, number 36, look right there. I think he would have hit it had Quan Alexander not got his hand on that ball. Alexander's an impressive looking middle linebacker on this defense. 4th round pick out of LSU. Very heady player in the middle of the defense.
Hey, Oscar left! Oscar left!
Third and 8, they need a play. How about going to Julius Thomas here?
Thomas making his Jacksonville debut. 3rd and 8. Bortles buying himself an extra second. Fires, completes. And there he is. It's Thomas. Multiple penalty markers thrown. It's a first down play if it stands.
They were all thrown in the secondary. I saw a lot of collisions beyond that 5-yard boundary where you're able to collide with them.
Before the pass was thrown, illegal hands to the face. Defense, number 28, that penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
It's on Tim Jennings. Salmon, you looked into your crystal ball and you called the right number, Thomas.
Yeah, Julius Thomas. He's got to be the guy, I think, for Blake Bortles. It's his first game back after being out with that hand injury. You'll see him right here. He'll come down the field. But watch how he reads the zone, the timings. You can see, notice he can read the zones, having played with Peyton Manning. He's playing with a high football IQ, able to help his young quarterback, Blake Bortles.
Pro Bowler was Thomas each of the last 2 years as a member of the Broncos. This is Yeldon. Dances inside the 15. And, you know, we spoke to Gus Bradley about incorporating Julius Thomas, who they didn't think they'd have today, and the challenges that that presents to their coordinator, Greg Olson.
No, but you know, Julius Thomas is a pro. I think he shows it. He's a former basketball player. You know, you got to be able, once you're in team meetings and you're in there with the offensive coordinator, Greg Olson, you've got to be able to step on the field, maybe without a whole lot of practice, and still be able to deliver something. They expected him to play maybe 30 snaps on the offensive side today.
What an addition he is to this offense. 2nd and 8, play action. Bortles fakes the pass left, rolls out, and is going to throw it out of bounds. As they'll be faced with a 3rd and 8 here. Early stages of the 3rd quarter. So Bortles, the second-year quarterback, bouncing back from that first half interception. Where does he go here on 3rd and 8?
Yeah, he's thinking, and he wanted it there. That's why they went play action. They've been running the ball so well on this drive. And now, play action, I think, is over. You've got to be able to help one of your receivers shake loose one-on-one. This may be one of those plays where if you're Blake Bortles, look to extend it a little bit and help the coverage break down, and one of your receivers can get over.
2 tight ends, Lewis and Thomas on 3rd and 8. Bortles throwing end zone, too high and incomplete. The intended receiver was Mercedes Lewis, their longtime tight end. Major right on the coverage.
And that's where I mean it. I think he threw this into double coverage. It was nearly intercepted. You're going to see him coming across the middle of the field right there, but you can see the double high safeties. They're right in there. They've got this one. To me, if he can extend it and maybe roll out, that's when some of the receivers are going to get open. But give the Bucs credit. Great coverage by the defense.
And here's Myers, who missed those 2 potential game-winning kicks last Sunday in Indianapolis. This time is perfect from 31 yards out. So the Jacksonville drive stalls, but they salvage 3 and inch closer. 31-yard field goal from Jason Myers to bring Jacksonville within 3 points as we play with just over 10 minutes left in this third quarter. Spiro Ditas, Salman Wilcox, Chris Fisher, rest of our CBS crew. Ryan Galvin, our producer. Andy Goldberg, our director. From Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay. Bobby Rainey will not play it. Takes a knee, and Jameis Winston will start from the 20 when we come back to CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by the all-new Fiat 500X crossover.
3-point Tampa Bay lead as we welcome you back to Raymond James Stadium. This intrastate battle, week 5 of the NFL season. Salman, what have you seen so far from Jameis Winston?
We're looking at these numbers. He's driving the ball down the field. 8 of 10 the last 10 pass attempts, and you can look at the yards per attempt. He's driving it down the field, getting it into the hand of his playmakers. He's got a good feel for this defense today.
1st and 10. The ground, what a juke step by Doug Martin. Stiff arms a would-be tackler right at the 30. And that's been the kind of day so far for Doug Martin. 13 yards as he stiff arms Aaron Colvin to the turf.
You think he's recovered from that knee injury? Look at this. They're breaking knees, ankles. That's everything. Doug Martin, elusive. Anytime you can beat the unblocked defender, you know, you're in a phone booth, close proximity, and still can make a miss. That's NFL talent.
Martin ran for 100 yards last week for only the 2nd time in 19 games. He's already over the century mark today on 14 carries.
Sunday.
Also a rushing and receiving touchdown
False
for Martin.
start. Offense, number 79.
Yeah.
5-yard penalty.
That's our
Still
guy.
first down.
That's Reed Fragel, the 2nd-year man whom they just called up from their practice squad this week and who's played pretty well up until that penalty.
He even raises his hand. He knows he's playing tight end many of these formations. And 100% of the time when he's come in and he's in there now, they've run the football. I got to believe at some point it's going to be play action behind him, but right now it's 100% run when Fragel's in that tight end.
Winston after the penalty from the gun on 1st and 15. Far side, it's caught. Martin has been their do-everything back till this point, tackled by Cyprian and House. Injury update from that Tampa Bay sideline. Their backup safety, Keith Tandy, a knee injury, out. Actually questionable to return in the 2nd half.
Yeah, and that time after the penalty, they decided to throw it to try to get some of the yards back. They completed. Fragel now comes out. And they're able to bring in Cameron Brayton, first-year player from Harvard, at the tight end position.
Winston on 2nd and 3. That pass is caught. Mike Evans at a pivotal catch on one of their scoring drives in the 2nd quarter. 10 yards and a Buccaneers first down, a penalty marker on the field. Tomorrow on CBS, the only thing smarter than a genius, it's a whole team of them. Catch a new Scorpion tomorrow at 9/8 Central, only CBS.
Bucs are playing the Bucs, aren't they? All these penalties, bringing back big plays.
Ali Marpet, their rookie from Division III Hobart, is called on a holding penalty.
There he is, 74.
This offensive line, if you've just joined us, without Logan Mankins today, a groin injury that he injured in practice this week.
Ready.
And all things considered, they've been impressive with some of those penalties notwithstanding. And now it is a flag
12
fest.
men in position. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
And he's still on the field. Now he's coming off. Dwayne Gratz. Oh, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. They've got a lot of guys out here. You can play good defense when you got 12 guys on the field. Of course, it's not allowed. And they were fined or penalized, I should say, for the same infraction 1 week ago.
2nd and 8. Martin is blown up in the backfield, and that's the kind of push Jacksonville was looking for on that play. One of the few times that Martin has been turned back as Avery Jones got him.
Oh, we said they needed to get better. Look at that. Getting penetration. They need to defend the run. We said that as one of our halftime adjustments. I'm sure Gus Bradley was able to talk about it. Sets up now 3rd and long, forcing Jameis Winston to have to make a play. If you're Jacksonville, you got to take advantage of this vulnerable offensive line. Get pressure on the quarterback.
3rd and 9. Winston sacked. Big loss as Aaron Colvin buries him in the backfield. 14-yard loss, and Tampa Bay will punt.
Oh, you force him into 3rd long. See, Colvin's right there. He's the guy that's going to blitz. They don't even block him. We talk about a young, inexperienced offensive line. They don't recognize or set the protection in a way where you can block everything inside out. You can't have leakage coming right into the face of the quarterback. If you're going to turn someone loose, you have to turn them loose coming off the edge.
Jacob Sherman on the punt. College player at Buffalo, Nick Marshall, will play it from his own 31. Stumbles close to the 40. 49 yards on the punt and a 5-yard return. 3-point lead for Tampa Bay. Captain Fear looks scary, doesn't he?
How do you know his name? Like, did you just name him yourself, or
I know these things.
did you do your homework
Preparation.
enough to be able to? Okay.
Green 80.
It's a good job by you.
No stone unturned, my friend.
Green is up.
3-point Jacksonville deficit. Blake Bortles back onto the field. 1st and 10. Good looking strike. Finds Allen Robinson right at the 50. They pick up a dozen and a 1st down.
And no flag on the play. How about that? This is a nice throw by Bortles, getting Allen Robinson involved. But the blocking, the protection up front is really key. We can see the protection there. TJ Yeldon picking up blitzing lineman there, providing time for Bortles to get the completion.
See Bortles' numbers at the top of your screen. 1st and 10. Here's Yeldon. Finds the edge inside Tampa Bay territory and run out of bounds just outside the 40. We go to New York in an update with JB.
Not something Kansas City fans want to see. You know, JB, they're leading 17-3. That's the good news. Right here is the bad news. That's Jamal Charles. He makes a cut on his right knee right there. You can see it give way. Remember, he hurt his left knee back in 2011. You can see right there he is clutching it. He'll be under evaluation. We'll let you know later on. But nonetheless, that is a huge loss for Kansas.
Not a pretty sight. Spiro and Solly.
Awful to see. Jamal Charles, one of the most dynamic players in the NFL. Certainly hope that he's okay. As Yeldon is brought down after a minimal gain by George Johnson, the 4th-year man, actually dump him for a loss of 2.
Excellent run defense on that play by the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense. Boy, they were all out. That's called blitzing the run. Not just the quarterback. You want to get penetration into the opposing team's backfield, bring more than they can block, and blow up the run block.
Third and 4. Bortles completes. 1st down. It's Allen Hurns. Penalty marker thrown. 12 yards on the catch.
Rough day for Tim Jennings.
Jennings making a 2nd straight start for the injured Jonathan Banks.
Pass interference. Defense, number 28. Spot the foul. Automatic. 1st down.
That's Tim Jennings, Solomon, on the other side.
Working against Hurns. See right there, you're beyond 5 yards. Right there at the top of the route. Got to take your hands off the receiver, cover with your feet, get into position to make a play on the ball. And how about Hearns being grabbed there and still making a play on the football?
Jennings, a two-time Pro Bowler in Chicago. One of those coming under Lovie Smith. 1st and 10. Bortles finds his man Robinson. Inside the 15, close to the 10. And now this Jaguars offense in business. 21 yards and a first down.
And Bortles understands quickly where he wants to go with the ball. Right there. You can see he just wants to go. And look, see the linebackers not getting at their proper depth. That's not necessarily the deep level 3 defender. It's that second level linebacker that Bortles is taking advantage of it when Lansana gets out of position.
See what they have done in red zone offense towards the bottom of the league standings entering week 5. 1st and 10, just outside the 10. Bortles quick strike over the middle. It's Walters. Walters, who entered the day just 6 receptions. That's his 3rd in this game. Tackled by Werner.
Well, it's just really nice play design, I think, by Greg Olsen to free up Walters on that throw. Creates an easy lane for Bortles to make that completion. So they've come in today's game understanding that they've got to be very good inside the red zone. So far, Blake Bortles 3 for 3 on this drive. Looking for more on this play down inside the 5-yard line.
Bortles, who has struggled in the second halves of games, something that we discussed with him yesterday. Good start for him here. Where does he go on 2nd and 4? Bortles goes through his progressions, rolls out, pump fakes, throws end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, T.J. Yeldon from 6 yards out.
And you love the fact that they're able to at least buy some time as he escapes. T.J. Yeldon escapes to the back of the end zone. And watch, Bortles comes here, but watch Yeldon work across that backside of the end zone. And that's how he gets open. But only after Bortles is able to extend time, draws the coverage to him, and then watch him uncover at the next level inside the end zone. T.J. Yeldon gets himself a touchdown. But only because Bortles is so mobile and he extends the play as he allowed Yeldon to get open.
T.J. Yeldon, his first career touchdown, had been the only player in the NFL entering today with 80-plus touches without a score. Back and forth they go. Jacksonville retaking the lead on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Find your agent at statefarm.com. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
It's been a fun game till this point. 24-20. Jacksonville back in front as we revisit some of Solomon's second half adjustments.
We said they had to stop the run. Tampa only 12 yards rushing in the second half. And the Bucs defense, they let Blake Bortles out of the pocket, and it cost them a touchdown. So Bortles able to extend the plays. So the teams that can make those adjustments are going to play better here in the second half.
Which of these 2 long streaks will end? Tampa, 11 straight losses at home. Jacksonville, an 11-game road losing streak. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Blake Bortles, career-high 3 passing touchdowns today as he marches him down the field, and Jacksonville back in front. Inside of 3 minutes to play, 3rd quarter. Spiro Diaz, Solomon Wilcots, Chris Fisher, rest of our CBS crew. From Tampa Bay, 1st and 10. Winston feeling the heat. Sacked. Still on his feet. Jameis Winston, the escape artist. How did he elude that play? Incredible maneuverability by Winston.
Pressure comes from the outside. Andre Branch working against Goster Cherilus. And even though Winston tries to step up in the pocket, can elude, and when he finally breaks loose, does have the presence of mind to understand I'm out of the pocket. I can throw the ball simply out of bounds and avoid the loss of yards on the play.
Ready.
Some kind of play by Winston to avoid the sack.
Right 57. Where we go?
2nd and 10. This is Sims finding the edge, spins across the 25. Nifty run. Story of the day so far offensively for Tampa Bay has been Doug Martin.
Yeah, whether he's running it or catching it, he's able to make defenders miss, twisting and twirling his way for secondary yards after contact or after the catch. Still finding the end zone. Got himself 2 touchdowns today. Already rushed for over 100 yards on the day. Second consecutive week, he's topped 100 yards rushing. Right now, he's making some plays, trying to keep this offense on track. But now, they need to make a play here on 3rd and 4 from their own 26-yard line. Now we got a late flag that's been thrown. It looks like it may go against the Bucs.
Illegal formation, offense. When the wide receiver shifted, he left number 74 uncovered on the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's about as
replay, 2nd down.
It's about as late a flag as you'll ever see. About 30 seconds after the play had ended.
Oh, that's something.
There was 8 seconds, Solomon, left on the play clock when the officials decided to throw the flag. Bizarre.
It's probably because the coach, Gus Bradley, maybe alerted the officials. They were able to understand the play, and we end up throwing the flag because the ball had yet to be snapped.
2nd and 15. Winston from the gun. That pass is deflected. What a play by Avery Jones, getting his big mitt on it. The 3rd-year man out of Georgia. It'll be 3rd and long coming up.
Avery Jones, 6'4", 310 pounds. Watch the big fella get his paw up, able to knock that one down. He's moving really well. There's a couple of times Winston has been able to avoid that disastrous turnover, but boy, was he lucky. Now we got 3rd and 15. You don't try to force the ball in coverage here if you're Jameis Winston. If you're the coordinator, give him something easy to read and let him cut it loose.
Have struggled mightily on 3rd down this season, as you saw. Sims, little screen pass. Sims across the 35, still going. Plenty of open grass in front of him as Telvin Smith with a touchdown-saving tackle.
Wow, this is just too easy. We said give him something easy to read. How about the screenplay right there? Get it out into the flat. And this is just great blocking up front. Watch the convoy of blockers out front. You get him to the next level. Now he's got the 1st down, but still blocking by the receivers on Devon House. Look at that, just a really good block there. And then look at this block by Vincent Jackson on Devon House. Great catch and run by Sims.
57 yards. As Sims continues to be dangerous for this Tampa Bay offense. 1st and 10. Martin lowers his shoulder, gets inside the 30. Sims, you watched him play last year, was never quite right as he recuperated from that ankle surgery. Sidelined half the season, but he appears to be a different player for this offense under Dick Cutter.
Yeah, he showed you the explosive ability. Lovie Smith has always talked about him. They waited for that talent to come to the surface, and now you see him paying off huge here in his 2nd season.
What does Dirk Cutter dial up here? The 1st-year offensive coordinator. Under a minute left in the quarter. Winston's going to take a shot. Far side of the field, incomplete. Intended for Mike Evans. Devon House on the coverage. And he is hot after that pass breakup.
I like Jameis Winston cutting this one loose, giving Mike Evans an opportunity to make a play on the ball. And this is what Lovie Smith talked about. His A players need to put up an A grade in terms of the plays they're making. He said we need big plays out of Mike Evans. One-on-one, what we call 50-50 balls. The big guy's got to come down with that one. 6'5", 230, but give Devon House a lot of credit, number 31, making a play in man-to-man coverage.
Gus Bradley told us we have not faced a team with this kind of height along their wide receiving core. 3rd and 10. Winston slings it over the middle, incomplete. Unable to connect with Vincent Jackson, and now House appears to be injured.
I think Vincent Jackson should have maybe had that one. Good throw from Jameis Winston. See what happened to House. He's hurt on this one. You know,
right at the end of the play,
House grabbed the arm of Vincent Jackson. That's why Vincent Jackson wasn't able to make that grab. Looked like he was locked in and had the arm of Jackson even before the ball arrived.
Appeared to be the safety Sergio Brown, who came in towards the end of the play. And that appeared to be where the contact came that injured House. House coming over from Green Bay in free agency. has been Jacksonville's leader in pass breakups entering the day, as they continue to look at him over the middle of the field.
Look at the right arm of House. He's locked in with the left arm right there. See how he locked it in? Now, where did he come down on it? Well, I think a glancing blow by his own teammate there, Sergio Brown. Really hard to tell where House may have sustained an injury.
This defense already shorthanded. We told you about the absence of their best defender, Paul Posluszny, in street clothes as he watches this one from the sidelines today. And now House very gingerly will walk off the field.
He's been good for him in free agency. Many of the players talked about it. Some of the guys that they've signed in free agency have come in. Jared Odrick, Devon House, Sergio Brown made immediate impacts with this football team. They're very young. 75% of the Jaguars roster are either first or second year players. So when you sign players like Odrick and House, they have to come in and make immediate impact and provide leadership for this football team, trying to win on the road for the first time in 12 games.
Also Dan Skuta coming over in free agency, another guy who's been a starter for them since day one. So House walks off. We'll get an update on him as quickly as we can. Connor Barth, 2 of 2, is hit from 35 and 45. This one from 47. Set a franchise record back in 2011 with a 93% conversion rate on field goals. And he is perfect in his return to the Bucs. Two teams that entered the day struggling. And right now, it's a one-point game.
Can't be afraid to admit you made a mistake, right? You cut Connor Barth, and you know, after things materialize in the first 4 weeks, you ask him to come back because you think he could do this. Lovie Smith talked about it. He said accuracy is more important than length. Okay, and so that one, Barth is able to knock it through, pulling them to within 1 of Jacksonville. Big-time kick.
Barth signed after a workout on Tuesday morning. He's been cut twice by the Buccaneers over the last year, both times losing his job to rookies. Kyle Brinza, whom they released earlier this week after the 7 missed kicks. But it's all in their rearview mirror right now, as Barth 3 for 3 and cuts the Jacksonville lead to 1. Barth lines it up and boots it away. This one is playable by Grant. Crosses the 15, tackled from the back. As he's able to get to just inside the 20. 23 yards on the return. Coming up next, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots taking the field against Jason Witten and the injury-depleted Cowboys, or the Broncos and the Oakland Raiders. Check your local listings on CBS. Dallas trying to keep their season together in the absence of Tony Romo and Des Bryant, as you see some of the numbers through 2+ quarters.
How about Mark turning it out on the ground? And Blake Bortles trying to keep his team moving on the ground.
This is the pitch to Grant. Fumble on the play. Football loose. It's picked up, recovered by Tampa Bay, and they're into the end zone. Smith on the recovery. Monstrous play by Lovie Smith's defense.
Lovie Smith talked about it, said we've got to start creating turnovers. We've got to score on defense. And take a look. Penetration. He comes in unblocked. George Johnson, 94, just barrels right into the rookie running back. That's Corey Grant. He loses the ball, and they're able to scoop and score. Jacques Smith, 56. Look at that. Falls on it, still gets up and lunges in for the touchdown. There was a meeting in that backfield. So many Buccaneer defensive players able to get to that ball. They sensed they could pick it up and score, and boy, did that.
Greg Olsen giving his rookie a chance. Corey Grant, who's had a couple of nice returns in this game. Maybe a long time before Olsen gives him another look.
Well, there's more than one breakdown. Yeah, he's got to catch that ball and be able to possess it. But you can't turn George Johnson loose right in the face of the rookie. And I think that distracted him and caused the fumble. They're going for 2.
Winston throwing end zone, and they convert. Vincent Jackson. Lead extends to 7. Turnovers coming back to haunt Jacksonville.
Yeah, this play is a staple of the West Coast system. Sprint option right. Quarterback has the option to throw it or keep it. Clearly, when you get Vincent Jackson open in the corner of the end zone, you pull the trigger on that one. Jameis Winston throwing well with accuracy while on the move. Great mechanics allowed him to deliver that ball with accuracy, converting the 2-point play.
For Tampa Bay, the first fumble return for a touchdown since Dakota Watson did it back on December the 17th of 2011. It's been a long time, but it'll also bring back some good memories for Buccaneers fans. Here it was. Tony Romo sacked, and Dakota Watson pounces on it and takes it into the end zone for the touchdown. 54 games since it happened.
And that's something, and to be able to convert that 2-point play to take a 7-point lead, what a swing after the fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Corey Grant back onto the field, will take a knee. And now how does Bortles and his offense recover as they take over from the 20? And the fireworks continue between these two 1-3 teams.
So they get 11 points in the matter of a minute after kicking the Connor Barth field goal, the scoop and score on the fumble recovery, and the 2-point conversion. That's a young team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We talked about complimentary football. That's the way you go ahead and do it.
In the span of 14 seconds, they're able to put those points on the board. Yeldon dumped for a loss. Major Wright, their 6th-year safety, able to get into the backfield. And that takes us to the end of the third quarter. 7-point Tampa Bay lead. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Tampa Bay with 11 points over the final 29 seconds of the third quarter, taking advantage of the 2 turnovers committed by Jacksonville.
Yeah, they've gotten 15 points off 2 Jacksonville turnovers. You can see Tampa's been really good at protecting the ball. Jameis Winston hadn't turned it over. The defense has been very opportunistic, and special teams has been good today for Tampa as well.
First play of the fourth, short screen pass to Yeldon, trying to fight his way close to the 20. And that's, a flip of the script for Tampa Bay. The 5 turnovers last week here against Carolina that led 27 points for the Panthers. But it's been a different story till this point.
But one of the staple to Lovie Smith's teams, wherever he's been, when he was a coordinator with the St. Louis Rams, even in his previous stop here in Tampa, they've always been good tackling, fundamentally sound defense who can create turnovers to help jumpstart the offense.
Third and 11. Bortles feeling the pressure, sacked again. Levante David getting there for Tampa Bay.
He was really good. Levante David, very persistent. He was blitzing, crowding the line of scrimmage. You're going to see him right here. Now take a look. He's just going to continue to work because initially the wave of defenders get up the field, but see him stay in the face of the quarterback, able to detach and still get the sack on Blake Bortles. Excellent coverage downfield, forcing Bortles to hold on to the ball. We said they had to contain him. Did an excellent job on that play.
4th time they've gotten to Bortles. First sack of the season, I should say, for David, and the 11th of his career. Rainey looking for another long return. Zigzags his way inside Jaguars territory. 25 yards. And boy, has he been lethal on those returns this afternoon. Oh, your weekend starts here with an NFC South battle between the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. Some of the signal callers that have really had their moments so far this season. Certainly Matt Ryan, what a start for his season for Atlanta.
Yeah, and how about Drew Brees, formerly coached by offense coordinator for Jacksonville, Greg Olsen, when he was at Purdue.
Ready.
Doug Martin, back-to-back 100-yard games. High formation set, takes the handoff from Winston. And once again, I don't think you could talk enough about this Tampa Bay offensive line. We talked about the concern without Logan Mankins. They've struggled with him, their best player. He's been out today. What a performance they've had.
They've done a really good job, especially when it comes to run blocking. Watch the push in the movement. C79, Reed Frago at the top. Whenever he's been in, they've gotten movement, and I thought that's just excellent use of your personnel. He had been on the practice squad, moved him up this week to add a little bit more girth up front and a little more power on the offensive line in the run game.
You see the bulk of their damage right over the middle as Martin continues to churn out yardage. We'll get him for a minimal loss as he tries to get himself back to the line of scrimmage. Dan Scuda, the Grand Valley State product, on the tackle, and now decision time on 3rd and 5.
Yeah, it is decision time. You notice Sims coming in again. Charles Sims had a real big play on that screen play. He was able to break some tackles, create a huge 57-yard gain on the last possession. Be mindful of him catching the ball.
Empty backfield. Winston from the gun. Pump fakes. Gonna throw it. Completes. Sims. First down catch. 11 yards. Winston buying time as they move the chains.
I love Jameis Winston climbing the pocket. Look, he gets coming here, and that's what draws defenders towards him, allowing Charles Sims to detach in coverage. Most young quarterbacks tend to drift in the pocket. The ability to climb the pocket, press the line of scrimmage, that's when you draw coverage towards the line of scrimmage, creates more room on the back end to complete passes.
Ready. Blue ready.
Keep it on the ground. This is Sims as he tries to work his way to the 20. So Jameis Winston, that 5-turnover performance last week, a young man who had this incredible success at Florida State, national champion for the Seminoles, Heisman Trophy winner, and the young man who Zalman basically holds the fortunes of this franchise in his young hands.
He's doing a good job, and so is Greg Olsen. I love the fact when they bring Reed Frago in, they're going to run the football. He just came out, and so now you can get a play-action pass opportunity with the run fake.
Ready. Blue ready. What's up?
2nd and 7. Winston, play action. Gonna run it, tucks it away, and takes a vicious hit at the back of that play. Thurston Armbrister making his first career start. Winston pays the price but runs for the first down.
Yeah, he had nice play action. That drew all the defenders toward the line of scrimmage. Thought they were going to give it to Charles Sims. And, you know, Winston's not known to be that athletic, but he moves well enough to keep the defense honest. And he's okay. Look, he's giving guys a handshake saying, good hit, I can take it.
Ready.
Making plays.
Blue ready. What's up?
Pitch play to Sims. Sims finds the edge, lunges end zone, and he's knocked out of bounds. Touchdown saving play by Jonathan Cyprien. But the Buccaneers knocking on the doorstep.
Wow, they set the edge. Goster Charles did a really good job of getting Sims to the corner. Tevin Smith takes a poor angle, and that's why Sims able to get further down the field. Tevin Smith, number 50, got trapped inside. So good run blocking. We talked about it, Spiro. This offensive line for Tampa doing a really good job on the run blocking scheme.
Red zone for Tampa Bay, 26th in the NFL in terms of touchdown conversion rate. 2nd and 1. Winston throwing end zone, incomplete. Penalty marker thrown right around the 2. Brandon Myers, their intended target.
Defense, number 37. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Cyprian made the play, but he was also penalized on the play because, you know, the back judge, the official, they're watching the tight end on every single play. And when Brandon Myers, working right over there on that side of the field, when he comes off the line of scrimmage, Cyprian was holding him, and the official saw it right away. Reed Fragel back in the game. What do you think they're going to do, Spiro? They're going to run the ball.
Going in his direction.
They're going to run the ball.
Blue way! Look that up!
Sims lunges end zone. No signal yet. Winston clamoring for the call, and he didn't get it. Can this Jacksonville defense hold without their star linebacker Paul Posluszny?
Well, they need a hold. They need to hold this Tampa Bay team because they've scored 11 unanswered points, looking for more. How about this? After that game last week against the Carolina Panthers when they turned it over, they did finally get going in the second half of that game. It was too little too late. Reed Fragel on the right side.
Martin lunges over the pile, and he's into the end zone. It's a 3-touchdown day for Doug Martin, second on the ground.
The offensive line, take a look. They collapsed the entire left side of the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line. Look at that. They just collapse it all, and Doug Martin over the top for his third touchdown of the day. He's been instrumental. Lovie Smith is loving what he's seeing from Doug Martin and the rest of his football team.
Martin, the Pro Bowler, is a rookie, as we told you earlier, maligned by injuries, since healthy again. Talked about the rigorous offseason training program that he undertook out in California and Santa Ana. Talked about getting the strength and power back in his legs. Certainly looked like it on this play as Martin goes airborne to give Tampa Bay a 2-touchdown lead on CBS. Now, if you went away for a couple of minutes, you've missed Tampa Bay score 18 unanswered points in the last 7 minutes and 3 seconds. So since the 29-second mark of that third quarter, the Grant fumble returned into the end zone for the touchdown. And it has been all Buccaneers since that point. Booming kick through the end zone.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's, now serving all-day breakfast. Sheraton, where actions speak louder. And by Cialis.
Stay tuned for the NFL Today update presented by FanDuel. Time permitting, we'll send you to New York. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher with all the latest stories and highlights here in Week 5. 14-point deficit for Jacksonville. Toby Gerhart lines up, split out top of your picture on 1st and 10 from the 20. Borders. Inside pass incomplete. Intended for Mercedes Lewis.
How do you get back in it if you are the Jacksonville Jaguars? I think you've got to put the game in the hands of their quarterback, Blake Bortles. If he gets man-to-man coverage, I would look for him to try to extend the play with his mobility, get out of the pocket. You either help the receivers uncover or you use your legs to get down the field and create a first down. And they cross the 50, look for them to be in 4-down territory.
2nd and 10. Completion over the middle. They'll pick up 6. Allen Hurns with another catch.
And they have all 3 timeouts. Go ahead, and I would try to speed things up. I'd like to see them go no huddle here and play at a much faster tempo.
Talked about Bortles' struggles in the second halves of games. Started well today.
They're taking a lot of time to get lined up and run this play.
Bucs showing blitz, Bortles has his man, and he overthrew him. Robinson was open. And on 4th down, Gus Bradley sends out his punt unit.
Wow, he had what they wanted. One-on-one coverage to the outside right here. And look, he's going to get down the field. You got to be able to hit this. Protection is there. He's got to step on the defender, and you overthrow it. Wow. Allen Robinson had to step on the defender. Could have caught that one and even ran for a touchdown.
Solomon, you know better than anyone, these games most of the time come down to 1 or 2 critical plays. And a missed opportunity there for Blake Bortles in Jacksonville. Rainey has had a fantastic day on the returns. Penalty flag thrown behind the play. 47-yard punt, 10 yards on the return. As we get the call from Jerome Boger, appears to be against Tampa Bay.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 17. 10-yard penalty. Tampa Bay keeps the ball. First down.
That's Dante Dye, the young man whom they signed from the practice squad earlier this week. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play, every story, and every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now at cbssports.com/mobile. Well, never too early if you're Gus Bradley to start thinking about how you want to use those 3 timeouts. Down 14 with 7:20 left.
You know they're going to run it here. I think you got to be ready to call an immediate timeout after you make the tackle.
Still have the 2-minute warning, of course, down the road. As Doug Martin, if you've just joined us, back-to-back 100-yard games. First time he's done that since 2012. 20 carries for 115 yards and 3 scores in this game.
And they don't use the timeout here. You know, Lovie Smith, he wants to protect the football. They've turned the ball over offensively for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 25 consecutive games. So far today, 0 turnovers as they enter today's game with the 2nd most in the National Football League. So protecting the ball, keeping it on the ground, try to eat as much clock as you can.
Ready! Blue Whitey! Boys hot!
Winston taking as much clock as he can. Martin trying to cut back, and he'll lose a couple. This Tampa Bay franchise that has won just 3 of their last 23 games, has not been to the playoffs since 07, and trying to end this endless home losing streak that dates back to late 2013.
And Jacksonville is keeping the timeouts. They're not using them.
Solomon, do you take a chance with a pass here, or do you just run it and chew up some clock?
I think you can run, say, a bubble screen here. It's equivalent to a run play. Short, quick pass to make sure that you don't stop the clock with an incompletion.
Doug Martin lined up in the slot, top of your screen, 3rd and 8. Winston over the middle, completes. Huge first down to Mike Evans as they pick up 14.
See, these short, quick passes are an extension of the running game. It's a way of running the ball and giving yourself a chance to keep the clock running. But make sure you get the completion as they do on that quick slant to Mike Evans. Big play. And how about this offense with their rookie quarterback, Jameis Winston, trying to eat up clock, trying to secure the win, resting the defense. 4 first downs today. This offense is doing a good job under Jameis Winston.
Ready!
Winston very economical today. 12 of 18 for just under 200 yards and a touchdown. First down run by Martin. And now the football comes loose.
That's when we talk about it.
No signal yet from the officials. And Tampa Bay recovers the football, but a gasp to the fans here at Raymond James.
And the clock continues to move, by the way. I don't know what Jacksonville's doing. There's the punch right there. Oh, I think you want to take a look at that. Was that knee down for Doug Martin? Look at Gus Bradley trying to figure it out.
It was Cam Chancellor late. What a play by Sergio Brown, just trying to make a play for this defense.
We good. Sunday.
A lot of time coming off the clock. 2nd and 6. This is Charles Sims, who's had a big day, and it gets bigger.
And he ran out of bounds.
Jacksonville territory.
Why would you run out of bounds there? You got to keep it in the field of play if you're Charles Sims.
Offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
So the 18-yard run coming back. It's on Ali Marpet.
Second round pick. There he is right there, 74. So he has his hands outside right there. He just tackled him. That's what he did.
There's Logan Mankins, their 6-time Pro Bowler. Huge loss, sustained a groin injury earlier in the week on Wednesday. And a critical penalty negates the 18-yard run by Sims.
There's 8 minutes on the clock when the Buccaneers took possession. And they've taken at least half of that off the clock from Jackson.
Jaguars sitting on those 3 timeouts. Sims getting to the 40. So you're surprised that Bradley has not at least used one of those timeouts.
Yeah, I mean, what are you waiting for? You're down by 2 touchdowns. You're going to need them, and the clock is continuing to run on 3rd down. I think if you're Gus Bradley, you've got to be able to use those timeouts. The run defense has really hurt Jacksonville today. But you've got to be able to use those timeouts, stop the clock, and hope you can get them in this 3rd down situation. It's their second 3rd down play on this drive, and Jacksonville hasn't used one of their 3 timeouts.
Salman, I think you're echoing the sentiments of a lot of Jacksonville fans watching this game. So much time coming off the clock. Down 2 touchdowns. As they get ready for a 3rd and 5 play, Tampa Bay uses a timeout. Stay with us.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Audi. Challenge all givens. And by Subway Restaurants. Subway. Eat fresh.
Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay, Florida. Jameis Winston trying to get his first win at home till this point. And Gus Bradley still sitting on those 3 timeouts. Down 2 touchdowns.
Coming off the Tampa Bay timeout, I'm sure the coach has told Jameis Winston, if they throw it here, the worst thing that can happen is a turnover. A punt would not be a bad play.
Winston's going to throw. Short pass is caught. Sims. First down catch and run, and a backbreaker for the Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, he did everything but stay in bounds. Of course, it was tough for him to do that. Watch him come out of the backfield. And look at this throw while under pressure from Jameis Winston. Well, Sims, it would have been tough to stay in bounds, did his best, but he did the number one thing, made sure he made the catch and convert for the first down.
Bortles helplessly looking on. 21-year-old Jameis Winston under center, 1st and 10. Just inside Jaguars territory. Martin, minimal pickup. And now you have to think they'll start to use those timeouts.
Yeah.
Clock continues to run.
Finally. I thought they should have used these timeouts a long time ago. When Tampa took over possession, it was 8 minutes on the clock. They've been able to bleed some 5 minutes simply because, Gus Bradley didn't use the timeout. Maybe he thought his defense was going to pitch a 3 and out, knowing they were running the ball. But I thought, knowing they're going to run on 1st and 10, you get the stuff, you stop them, immediately call a timeout. And then force your opponent to have to maybe throw the ball, at least think about it, and force an incompletion. Try to conserve as much time as you can.
Clock management has been such an underrated part of coaching in the NFL that, as we've seen time and time again over the years, so critical to how these games end. 3:08 remaining, 2nd and 7 from the Jaguars 45. Hand off to Martin. What a day he's had. 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 24 rushes for over 120 yards. 2nd straight game of 100 yards on the ground.
Oh, they've done a really good job. I can't say enough about Reed Fragel, number 79, tackle, as we get another timeout by Jacksonville. But they use Fragel as that extra tight end to power and generate yards in the run game. 187 yards on the ground today. Doug Martin accounts for 123 of those rush yards. His ability to break tackles. And then Charles Sims also just doing a real wonderful job behind An offensive line that had been plagued with inconsistencies and injuries up front. But today, they've gotten the job done.
Jacksonville desperately needing a stop here to give themselves any chance. 3rd and 3, Sims. So Jacksonville's defense able to get the push that they needed, tackled by Avery Jones. Third-year tackle, also Jared Odrick in the vicinity. So Jacksonville will take its final timeout. Bortles just hoping that he'll get one more chance.
There's Odrick right there, 75. Watch him get penetration. You know, blitzing the run is something that you got to do, and you know they have a young quarterback. It's 1st and 10. They're trying to conserve time on the clock. I think that's highly predictable in terms of what they want to do. And I thought those sequence of plays right there is more of an example of what Jacksonville should have done in the early phase of this possession.
So Jacob Shum on to punt. And Brian Walters standing back at around his own 10. Field position so critical in this situation for Jacksonville, as the Buccaneers trying to get in position. Walters is going to play, and he is met by a wall of Tampa Bay Bucs.
That's just inexperience by Walters. It was such a short punt. You know they're going to be able to field it because there's no distance, and he's not going to kick it out of the back of the end zone. You keep this in the field of play, but given that it was such a short punt, Lance Santa comes down and gives Walter a kiss right there. Should have fair caught that one.
So here's Blake Bortles, the 23-year-old second-year quarterback. No timeouts left. Down 14, looking for a miracle.
Looking for a drive starter.
1st and 10, Bortles goes through his reads over the middle, hits Hearns. 1st down catch, brought down just short of the 30, you pick up a 15.
That's the drive starter they're looking for. Now that you have some room, you would like to get one-on-one coverage on the outside. Take a shot. Remember on the last possession, he had Robinson deep and missed him.
Bortles on 1st and 10, again over the middle of the field. That'll keep the clock going. Try to get one more play before the 2-minute warning. 15 more yards to Walters.
I think they'll get one more off here.
1st and 10 at the 44.
Jacksonville, that agonizing defeat in overtime last Sunday in Indianapolis. Right now down 14. Buccaneers coming to blitz, and they get to Bortles for their 5th sack. Gerald McCoy, his 4th sack of the season, leading the charge for Tampa Bay. Interstate battle, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. Two teams desperate for a win. Gus Bradley and Jacksonville, 11 straight road losses. And a Buccaneers team that has lost 11 straight at home. Looking for a big win here in Week 5.
You know sooner or later Jacksonville's going to throw one down the field looking for the big play. Most defenses would use prevent to eliminate that option.
No timeouts for the Jaguars. 2nd and 15. Bortles somehow escapes the sack. At least for the moment. Rolls out. Throws back across the field. And boy, that one nearly picked. Trying to find Toby Gerhardt. A lot of time coming off the clock. Quan Alexander nearly had the interception.
Quan Alexander's got to make that catch. We talked to Lovie Smith about that when we spoke with him on Friday. Levante David dropped a potential interception 1 week ago. He says, you know, that's equivalent to a receiver trying to make a touchdown reception. We've got to make those catches on the back end of our defense to be able to close out ball games.
Bucs defense settling back. Bortles on 3rd and 15. Flushed out, tripped up, and he's going down again. It's Gerald McCoy for his 2nd sack on this drive.
Lovie Smith said, we need our 8 players to step up and help us win games. And the first name off his tongue was Gerald McCoy. Named some of the other guys too, but needed big plays from McCoy. He's coming up big on this drive in the fourth quarter.
4th and 18, no choice but to go for it. Pass from Bortles is caught. It turns inside the 10 and brought down. An incredible defensive breakdown by Tampa Bay. Quan Alexander saves the touchdown.
He's going to be right here. Take a look. And then watch Quan Alexander coming from the middle of the field after the missed tackle. Look at Quan Alexander, 58, giving chase. That's a linebacker running down a receiver. That's great effort, great hustle by Quan Alexander to prevent the touchdown.
59 yards on a catch and run. 70 seconds left. First and goal, pass from Bortles, caught. Robinson, touchdown. They go right at Tim Jennings, and this one not over just yet.
Tim Jennings has struggled against these receivers. This is Allen Robinson in the corner of the end zone. How about Bortles? You know, he's sacked twice on this possession. He's hanging in there, talking about willing your team to victory, make throws like that. And then the catch from Robinson over Jennings. You know, Jennings is right in his lap. Just plucks the ball right off the head of Tim Jennings, still able to haul it in for a touchdown. Great catch by Robinson.
4th touchdown pass, career high for Blake Bortles. It was a 4th and 18 play when Bortles connected with Allen Hurns for the 59-yarder. That sets up the touchdown catch by Allen Robinson. Point after from Jason Myers, and Jacksonville not going quietly, able to cut it to 7.
You know, you got to pay attention. You know, Gus Bradley was looking at Myers on that extra point. He wasn't so sure. He wasn't so sure. Now you've got to do the onside kick. Minute to go. I would not kick it deep. I try to get the ball quickly because on that last possession, it was tough for Jacksonville to get the ball back defensively. They could not stop Tampa from running the ball. They're out of timeouts. I think you got to go with the onside kick here. Give yourself a chance to get the ball there as opposed to kicking it deep to Tampa, expecting the defense to get a stop.
Well, basically for Tampa Bay, 1 first down wins you the game. With 65 seconds to play, it'll be their first onside kick attempt of the season.
Remember last year, the NFC title game, Green Bay, they send out the hands team, and they didn't execute it. You had a tight end trying to go for the ball, and all you had to do was block a defender and let Jordy Nelson get it. So execution, even in these moments, is vitally important when you're trying to close out ball games.
So Lovie Smith sends out his hands team. Vincent Jackson, Mike Evans, both on the field on opposite sidelines. And now the officials are going to blow their whistle. Looks like Tampa Bay will burn its second timeout.
Why do you think they call that timeout? There's got to be a conversation. Everyone do your job. You're Lovie Smith. You're saying, hey, if you're designed to block rushers on the kickoff team and allow our guy to catch it, then you've got to do that. Don't go going for the ball, allowing it to hang up there and think it's yours. We saw that in the NFC title game 1 year ago, Green Bay up in Seattle. Green Bay, their inability to execute this play cost them a trip to the Super Bowl.
So Lovie Smith on that sideline. Second season here in Tampa Bay, trying to resurrect this franchise. A coach who was nearly to the mountaintop, taking the Bears to the Super Bowl in '06. He knows this better than anyone. At some point, you have to start winning games as they try to find their second victory of the season here in Week 5. Jason Myers lines up, onside kick. It is recovered, fielded by Vincent Jackson. Didn't quite get the bounce that Myers was hoping for.
You know what? They got the bounce. The ball went high, but watch the way they play it. Watch these guys go block so that you can catch it right there. See, they go attack. They don't look at the ball. That's just perfect execution. The high bounce was there, but it was great execution, making sure they had Vincent Jackson cleared to catch that ball.
Well, something has got to give here. One of these long streaks will end. As Tampa Bay will go and just take a knee here. As the remaining seconds will tick off the clock. They didn't quite need that first down. No timeouts for Jacksonville. As a huge sigh of relief can be felt throughout Raymond James Stadium.
Now 12 consecutive road losses for Gus Bradley's team. You know, both coaches are very close to one another. Lovie Smith and Gus Bradley taking roots. There you go.
First home victory for Tampa Bay since week 14 of 2013, a home win against Buffalo. And for Lovie Smith, finally his first home victory as Buccaneers head coach. Coming up next, Patriots, Cowboys, or some of you will see the Broncos and the Raiders. Now for Solomon Wilcots, Chris Fisher, Spiro Dita saying so long from Tampa Bay.